Welcome to Football and AI. My name is Adeyemi Adesoya. Um, Apologies for not coming up last week. We suffered a bit of a bereavement, so apologies we couldn't do the show. I wasn't in the best frame of mind to do the show. But hey, this is Football and AI, as you know, episode 18. As usual, I'm not alone. Premier League season is rolling accordingly. The AI is in absolutely fantastic form. 8 games without defeat so far, knocking everybody that's come on this show out of the ballpark. But today we have a special guest, even though I said she's a big madam now. I haven't seen her in a while, but it's good to see her, see her. But first, let me introduce, as usual, Dr. Oluseyi Akindele. Sheyi, welcome. Sheyi, you're mute.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Yeah, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Happy to be back here again. Like he said, 8 games unbeaten. We're going to put the test again out there today, and let's see. We have a worthy challenger, and let's see how it goes. You're welcome.
Well, I hope that the internet will be fair on us because I've been suffering from internet-related. Is it offenses I should put it, or is it assault in the last few days on my shows here? But my guest, like I said, is none other than if you used to listen to Inspiration FM back in a few years ago, you will hear her fantastic voice. Now she's in tech. Now she's an actress. She wears many hats. So I am pleased to welcome Bella Rose Okoji.
Hi.
Bella.
Hi.
Welcome.
Thank you so much for having me.
How you doing?
I've been in tech for longer than just recently, FYI. Even before I joined Inspiration, I was already a reporter for technology. So just a slight correction there.
Yeah, I just found out, so about a month ago. So
yeah,
I'm still getting used to knowing that you have that side. Boys, all good. It's all good. So how have you been? How are you coping with the change in the weather?
It's really surprising, to be honest, but I like it. I'd rather this than extreme heat, to be
than
honest.
The heat. Yeah, I like it this way too.
And it was my birthday on Monday.
Oh, it was my birthday on Sunday. It was my birthday on Sunday.
Valentine.
Happy belated birthday. Yeah. I didn't know that. Happy birthday, Bella.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Olu.
Great to have you. So, as always, we always quickly review the results from the last time we were here. And our guest, Ladi, came very close with a late salvo, but it wasn't good enough. The scores ended 5-4 in favor of the AI. And what Ladi did was he had correct score for Spurs versus West Brom, which is a 2-0. The AI, interestingly, for the first time in a while, didn't get any correct score, but got outcomes right in 5 different games, 5 out of 10 games. And for some reason, I scored 12 points. So I had 3 correct scores and 3 correct outcomes. So there were no major surprises that weekend. So for this weekend, we are hoping. I am always hoping that there's a major surprise because it is what makes what we do interesting. One of the big games this weekend is none other than Liverpool versus Everton. If you are a regular on this show, you know that Sheyi is a Liverpool fan. He already has their away kit on. The Merseyside Derby is one of the biggest games in English football, has the highest numbers of red cards. In fact, the last time they met earlier this season, there was a red card. There was some controversy with Jonathan Pickford, being responsible for the long-term injury that Virgil van Dijk has, and probably at the end of all the misery that Liverpool have suffered this season thus far. But somehow Liverpool are just outside the top four. Everton are also somewhere, in that equation. Everybody's struggling for those four places to get into the Champions League. And Manchester City are looking absolutely imperious. 17 games, 17 straight wins is ridiculous. They go away to Arsenal, who they defeated 1-0 earlier in the season, defeated put 4 goals past in the Carabao Cup, so they have a really good record against Arsenal. But remember, Arsenal defeated them in the FA Cup. So it is Pep versus his apprentice, Mikel Arteta. It'll be interesting to see how that goes at the Emirates. Manchester United looked pretty good yesterday in the Europa League. They are at home to Newcastle United. But as you know, United have been terrible at home this season. No home comforts. They've been better away from home. But hey, we know Newcastle are not the best team out there. So, hey, they've also suffered of late. But also remember that they went away to Everton and got a deserved win. West Ham at home to Spurs. Remember last time they played, West Ham came from 3 goals down to draw 3-3. So expect some excitement there. If you are more concerned about the guys at the lower end of the table, Fulham take on Sheffield United, both struggling for relegation. The gap between the bottom 3 and the guys just outside the relegation places is a bit wide. It's about 7 points at the moment. And most importantly, Fulham are unable to convert those draws to wins. So let me go to Sheyi now. Sheyi, we weren't here last week, but the week before we were here. What other parameters are you putting into the AI for this week to see how you can continue your winning run?
Yeah, nothing out of the ordinary. The framework, the model is pretty much set. We've been training. I mean, the season is over 50% gone now, so I think we have a lot more data to work with. We're just trying to see, nothing else. Just adding more of last week's results to it, to update it and retrain the model to see whether we can get better scores. Ultimately, the truth is, in addition to getting correct score, the correct results, I think the AI's true test should be how many of those can be correct scores, like nail-on scores. Then we will know that we're halfway there. But of course, football being what it is, as it is played by humans and it is not played by robots. So, and it's like we always say here, football is no matter how, if you like have 10 PhDs in mathematics, football is still going to be football. I mean, you get to a situation where a match, I mean, there was was it 2 or 3 weeks ago when Man U won 9-0 against Southampton, and there were 2 red cards and that kind of thing. Yeah, so those are some of the things that you can never ever put in a model. You never be able to know things like that. So those are outliers. So at the end of the day, we're just seeing how much of these scores can be nail-on scores as opposed to just getting the results.
But how can we get to the point where we're able to introduce those additional parameters? So you say instances where a team gets a red card, instances where this important player is not playing, instances where, like for instance, Liverpool, Klopp suffered a bereavement and a lot of people did not know about. So we didn't know what his mental state, was at the time. How do we get to that point where we're able to introduce such parameters to the AI?
Yeah, I suppose
that is why we get to that point.
Yeah, I suppose that's why AI isn't going to. There are 2 types of AI that people always talk about. There's the there's the AI that is, and then there's the artificial general intelligence. So what we're doing now is data in, data out, garbage in, garbage out. And the training that the AI is currently going through is just to basically use old scores, which is why you said at the top of the show that the AI struggled at the beginning of the season because there was no data to work with. We only had to work with last season's data, and we know that in football, new players come in, new managers, new strategies. So that was why I was struggling, because we hadn't gotten this season's data. But now that we have this season's data, this season's form, it's pure data, to be honest, and it's just pure mathematical modeling. And we can only work with the data we have, and we haven't gotten to a level where you start to take into consideration things like, okay, manager losing a member of his family, or a manager, a team having a new manager, or you can only work with data that you see. Just like I typically use examples of, it's almost like somebody trying to predict whether football and AI will come up at 4 o'clock next week. Obviously the data is going to tell you, but last week we didn't come up just because we had a bereavement in one of our groups, and we couldn't. So that person will have used data from the beginning of the season that 4 o'clock every Friday football and AI will come up, and just last week it didn't come up. So what happened? Was the data wrong? No, it just meant that there was something human that happened, and we didn't take into consideration. That's the same thing with football, to be honest. We're never going to get to a stage. I don't even think we'll get to a stage where computers will really make predictions before matches are played. Otherwise, the betting industry will not even exist if it was that straightforward. So that's all I can say for now. AI isn't taking over. There isn't data to mirror or to model real world things into things that are being played by humans.
Let me come to Bella. So Bella, for instance, a lot of people, somebody tweeted back at us and said, Bella talking football. I said, Bella used to do rep your club with us on IFM back in the day. So why is the person worrying that that Bella will know anything about football anyway? But from an AI perspective, from you being in tech, what effect do you think AI can have on our day-to-day life, going forward in the next 5, 10 years? What kind of effect do you think artificial intelligence will have in our lives?
I think that generally it will improve intelligence on a general note, right? Not to play on word, but it's going to improve intelligence and data gathering, right? People are going to understand better the importance of documenting and being able to just hold on to information. So typically, as a football fan, FYI, I'm a Chelsea fan, there are certain things that happen that I kind of discard because I don't necessarily need that information. It's like, well, I could do without this information. I could forget the fact that someone used to be a coach for Chelsea, or I could forget the fact that someone played for Arsenal, or I could forget the fact that Manchester City won this or that game last year or last season or whatever. But you will find that it is going to contribute to holding on to some kinds of information because of what we will need that information for in future. And like Dr. Shea said, you work with existing data that already exists. And how do you get this information? It is from sources, people around who were perhaps present there, or some of this information being input on certain platforms where you can now go and just get all of that information from. So everyone at some point or the other is, maybe not everyone, that may be an exaggeration, but I think that more and more people are going to be authorities. They will be information sources. And so whatever information that I thought I did not need or I do not need anymore will become very useful to making sure that technology, of course, is more enhanced and that everyone is having access to it and is in fact using it. And again, we can't go back to the times of how sports was documented before. We cannot go back to those times. It is onward ever. And so getting to a point where more and more people are being exposed to these technologies. We're getting to a point where people are paying more attention. The guy who is maybe going to bet, for instance, will now want to really consume data. He will want to know what he's getting himself into. You know what I mean? It cannot completely take away, the prediction process and the human factor as well. But it enables it. It adds to it, and so it's going to be a very beautiful. It's going to be a very beautiful relationship of sorts of man and technology. So everyone is going to work somehow in tandem, where one person needs the other, and it just goes on like that.
Okay, so let me ask this, and this is me from a layman's perspective, and she could also chime in. What role could we had a controversy in Nigeria recently with the whole NIN registration and all that, and I looked at it and I'm like, I did voters registration, I did BVN, driver's license, international passport, and and my biometrics data was taken, my picture taken. Why do I have to still go center, especially in the COVID period like this, line up for hours? What role would artificial intelligence have played to remove this stress, the madness? Is there a way artificial intelligence could have helped to take the data from BVN, take the data from voters registration, driver's license, and harmonize it,
compute it?
Yeah, you don't even need, let's be honest, I think it's just a Nigerian factor with all that, because all you typically need is one registration and all. I mean, if you think about the way, you just look at the way the internet works. I mean, there are some websites you go to, you don't even have to register. They just say, once you already have Google, Gmail,
your email address,
and it automatically register you, populate your name, your surname, your date of birth. And if that's being done, so you don't even manually have to register on each and every website you go to. So the technology exists, but you see, at the end of the day, like I always say, it's not about the technology. It's not about the technology. It's about the people that are implementing the technology. So if something exists and you don't want to use it, and the internet is using it, there's so many websites people go to now. Once you have Facebook or Twitter, you can use people from universities now. They'll just tell you, once you have Gmail, register with your Gmail. No need to, and they take it from Google servers, your name, your date of birth, your this, your that, and all that. So I just think it's the willingness of people, which is why I started this as well. That look, a lot of people are thinking that technology is meant to be used for, especially things like AI. Let's be honest, AI is just an advanced word for, it's just a nomenclature for statistics. All we are trying to do is we're trying to use old data to model new data. We're trying to use data that has existed to see if we can. I mean, and it's been in use for ages. For instance, if you look at NTA News, that time they used to do weather forecasts. So they will predict the weather for tomorrow, next tomorrow, the week, and all they are doing is they are trying to model.
The good that predicted this avatar.
Exactly, which is where sometimes data, that's why sometimes data will fail you. But at the end of the day, the aim is, can the use of a data model be better? Can we achieve better results than humans? So which is why this is important. For the last 8 weeks, AI has been doing better than different humans predicting. So we can say now that, okay, this is the 20th week. I think this is the 18th show or something like that. So if we compare how many results have humans weigh, how many, so at the end of the season we can now see that, okay, it looks like if we get more data, AI could actually do better at predicting things like sports scores, things like than a human being, because humans by design are not rational. For instance, I do not think if I was predicting, I would ever predict a loss for Liverpool,
right?
Because of we are humans, and because I probably hate Man U, every time I predict, I'll probably tell you Man U will lose. So
Yeah.
we tend to make decisions, even sometimes not even consciously like that. But AI does not care. AI looks at the data. Like look at Man City now. Man City have won the last 17 games. So there is absolutely no way an AI will come out and say Man City will lose the next game or even draw, because the data is showing the trend going up. But as you and I know, they could go into this weekend and lose woefully to Arsenal, because it is football. It is completely, I mean, anything can happen, red card in the first minute, something, a major player could get injured. So AI can never do that. So at the end of the day, it's just to see, which is why we have things like, if you look at the statistics that a lot of the AI companies abroad, like Tesla with the self-driving cars are doing, they are saying that, look, on the average, when human beings drive, they have road accidents maybe 2-3% of the time. Now when you have self-driving cars, because you're never going to have someone who is drunk, you're never going to have someone who is driving without a license. It's just going to be using the mathematics. If we can improve on that number, then we'll say that AI is better than a human. It's just a one step up, But I don't think that in things like sports and the arts, music, like I have an AI, for instance, that can generate beats, but I don't think the AI generated beats will defeat someone like a producer, because the producer will have AI I'll just feed it. For instance, if I want to generate new beats now, all I need to do is just feed it in all the beats that have ever existed, and it will just pick the best of these and then combine. It may not sound well to the human, but a human. So in anything that has to do with human related sports, human related activities, I don't think it will. But if you are talking about things like, say, weather forecasts, things like sales figures, things like temperature gauge measurements, then you can say, oh, if something reaches this level, it automatically means that so you can do predictions for, say, you run okay, for instance, now you have a show that you're doing. Now let's assume since the beginning of the show you've seen some viewership, and you want to say, look, Dr. Lu, please, I want to know, with these viewers that I have, okay, maybe first week I had 10, this following week I had 15, next week, can you give me like an estimated number of viewers that will view next week's shows? Then we can look at it and say, well, okay, we'll use this model, and then we see that there's this deviation, there's this, that we can now give you a prediction that by next week, since this week we had like maybe 100 people, hopefully by next week with this data model, you probably have 150. Those are things that you can use AI for, but you can't really use AI. You can try to use AI for sports, but I don't think it's going to be better than a human.
It will be perfect. It will
just
get,
to touch on the question you had asked.
Yeah,
just to touch on that for a second. I feel like we need to address the duplicity of agencies, particularly in Nigeria. There's many different agencies doing the exact same thing, and that's a challenge. Because I know people said they were not going to get their BVNs registered. I know people who don't have BVNs in this country, and they said, and these are tech people. They said, look, I don't want my information just littering the web space, and that's because there is no. When you look at storing big data, for instance, I don't know what the government's how they have chosen to prioritize that, because there's got to be somewhere where all of this data is stored, right? And that's where this comes in. And so when you have the Minister of Information, for instance, trying to prove a point, he's going to want to do his own. You have the INEC chairman also wants to prove a point. He's going to want to do his own. Let it be that, it was when I was DG of XYZ that I did X, Y, and Z. Of which what you're supposed to do typically is we have a database.
A central body.
A central database. How can we connect there to make sure that the information that we want can be accessible to us? And so that's a slight, but it's not a slight challenge for people who really understand these things. It is a bit of a it's a red flag for them, because it's like, look, we are doing the exact same thing over and over and over again, and God forbid if any of these agencies are hacked.
Yeah.
So then there's that.
Bella has one of Bella's big fans is on the show. Biola Obiwole says, Bella Rose, I'm your biggest fan. I just wish the AI will let me know when the next episode of that Bella's web series will be released. So let's go into the matter at hand. So 10 games in the Premier League. Bella is our guest. There's a game tonight, 9 p.m. Nigerian time, I believe. Wolverhampton Wanderers versus Leeds United. I have gone for a Wolves win, 2-1. Bella, what say you? That's what Bella say.
Because I'm not a huge fan of either club.
Okay.
So I think I will go with Wolves as well.
Wolves.
But maybe 1-0.
1-0. Okay.
Nil, yeah.
1-0. All right. AI, what say you?
With the data available, AI is going for an away win, 2-1 to Leeds.
Wow. Yeah, I think you should. Shay, do you have that formula you showed me in the group this morning? Do you have it?
Like I said, maybe at the end of the season, I'll probably walk them through.
You showed that formula, B.
Right.
You showed me one formula earlier today of what he needs to do to bring this out. I said we need to show it on the show, but he said to the end of the season. So let's go to the next game. I like the fact that the results are more or less contrasted. Right. Southampton host Chelsea. When they played earlier in the season, it ended in a 3-3 draw. Bella, what say you?
I want a win for Chelsea because obviously I'm a Chelsea fan. I don't know that the team has been able to. I honestly haven't seen any of their matches since Tuchel took over as coach. Because of my schedules and all that.
Four games without defeat so far, so you're in good hands.
So I've heard stuff. I have seen the score lines as well, but I will say 3-0.
3-0 to who? 3-0 to Chelsea. What a wahoo. Okay. AI, what say you?
No, what's your own prediction first now?
Wait, now don't worry. I'm coming there. Now don't worry.
Has gone for a Chelsea victory, 1-3.
1-3 in favor of Chelsea. Okay, so everybody's going for a Chelsea win. I've also gone for a Chelsea win, 1-2 in favor of the London Blues. Burnley, West Brom. Bella, what say you?
Burnley and West Brom.
When they played earlier in the season, it was a 0-0 draw.
I think I will go for a Burnley win.
Burnley are in decent form right now, so
maybe 2-1. 2-1 to Burnley.
2-1 in favor of Burnley. Like I said, Burnley are in decent form so far this season. They went away to Crystal Palace and just absolutely decimated the Eagles. But I have gone for a 1-1 draw between Burnley and West Brom. West Brom are fighting for their lives, so I'm not sure they will give in so easily. So what does the AI say, Shane?
Yeah, it's gone for a Burnley victory as well. 2-1.
It's gone for 2-1 as well. So
the
AI agrees with Bella on that one.
That's a sign. That's a good sign.
That's a sign, Abby. The big game this weekend is Liverpool versus Everton. If there was ever a time Everton could get a result over Liverpool, it is now. Carlo Ancelotti, one of the biggest managers in the game of football, but Liverpool know how to raise their game when it comes to the Merseyside derby. And at Anfield, even though Liverpool have been really bad at Anfield of late, I still think Liverpool will win. So I've gone for a 2-1 victory in favor of Liverpool. Bella, what says you?
I think it will be a draw. I think I will make it a 1-1 draw.
1-1. Bella goes for a 1-1 draw in the Merseyside derby. AI, what says you? This one is very tricky.
3-1 to Liverpool.
Ooh.
So is this AI that is talking, or is you talking?
Or you?
It is. I mean, because if you think about it, Liverpool didn't lose a game at home in 4 years, and the last 3 they've lost. And if you still weigh the numbers still, I think for the foreseeable future, the AI is going to predict a home league victory. Remember his weighted averages, something along those lines. So
I just wanted to be sure that
3-1.
3-1. Yeah.
3-1. I just wanted to be sure it's AI talking. I'm not sure. Fulham, Sheffield United, when they played earlier in the season, it ended 1-1. Note that both teams are at the bottom end of the table, both in the relegation zone. Fulham need to get the points so that they can move closer to the likes of Burnley, and probably go above them. But I've gone for a 1-1 draw again in this one. Bella, what do you say?
I think 2-1 to Sheffield. I think Sheffield.
2-1 Sheffield United.
That's what I'm thinking. I don't know. I have faith in Sheffield.
I have a feeling.
I have faith in them. I have faith in Sheffield.
Okay.
And I know that one or two of their players have also impressed me. So I think I will go for Sheffield.
What's the AI saying?
Fulham 2-0.
Fulham to win 2-0. Fulham went to Goodison Park and got a really good victory at Goodison Park. Got a draw subsequently during the week. So I like the way this particular one, we have all gone for different outcomes. So, West Ham at the London Olympic Stadium take on Tottenham Hotspur. Spurs were fantastic in the Europa League yesterday, but the last time both teams met, it ended 3-3. Spurs were 3-0 up by the first half. West Ham found a way to get back into the game, and they drew 3-3 with almost the last kick of the game. Manuel Lanzini scoring probably one of the goals of the season. But for this one, I've also gone for a 1-1 draw. Bella, what says you?
I think I'll go for 2-1 to Tottenham.
2-1 for Spurs. That's 1-2 Spurs. 1-2 Spurs. 1-2 Spurs. Yeah, what says you?
It's gone for a 2-2 draw.
2-2 draw. There'll be goals. Good for the neutrals. Aston Villa take on Leicester City in what we call the Midland Derby. Villa have been really good this season, especially with their goalkeeper Emiliano Martinez, who's probably the best goalie in the Premier League at the moment. I've gone for a Villa win, 2-1. Villa won the game at the earlier in the season away at the Foxes. They won 1-0. I've gone for a Villa win, 2-1. So AI, what says you?
Well, it's gone for another draw here, 1-1.
1-1. AI says the Spurs will be shared. Bella?
I'm actually going for a 1-0 to Aston Villa.
1-0 to Villa. The Villains win the Midlands Derby 1-0 to make it not such an impressive week for Leicester City. Now, the other big game is Arsenal versus Manchester City. The boss versus the apprentice. Last time out, City won 1-0 in the league, but also put 4 past them in the Carabao Cup. City, 17 games straight, 17 straight wins. Imperious, impeccable, playing some absolutely fantastic football, and they're also not conceding. But Arsenal, I found their goal scoring touch, scored 4 last match day against Leeds. Aubameyang scored a hat-trick. Struggled yesterday against Benfica, but I've gone for a Manchester City win. I don't know. I can't even see another result in this one. Manchester City to win 1-3. AI, what say you?
1-3.
1-3 as well. I've drank the same thing, though.
This one is tricky.
All right, Bella. What? It's tricky.
So I think Man City
it was not supposed to be
top one. So I think I will go for a 2-1 to City.
2-1 City. Bella says she's going for Manchester City win, so that's 1-2 in favor of Manchester City. Nobody is giving Arsenal any chance. Now let's go to the team that's currently second on the table, 10 points behind another team from Manchester United at home to Newcastle United. United have struggled at home this season. Old Trafford is not the best place to be for United, but United have been in decent goal scoring form of late. 4 goals against Real Sociedad yesterday, with of course Bruno Fernandes being the absolute star. They put 9 past Southampton. Unfortunately, stumbled last weekend against West Brom 1-1. When these two teams played earlier in the season, it ended 4-1 in favor of Manchester United. I've gone for a 2-0 victory in favor of Manchester United. Newcastle have some notable absentees, and I think one of such absentees is their main source of goals, Callum Wilson. I'm not sure Newcastle can put up a fight. Bella, where do you tilt towards?
I think I'll go for a draw, 1-1.
A draw. Okay.
I'll go for a draw.
Well, AI says Man U 3, Newcastle 1.
Okay, here it says 3-1 in favor of Red Devils. Last game of the weekend, Brighton versus Crystal Palace. For some reason, this is some kind of rivalry. I don't understand it. They have some family rivalry from way back, and Brighton put paid to Liverpool, put paid to Spurs in recent weeks. But one problem they have is they always struggle to score goals. Palace, on the other hand, lost at home last weekend to Burnley. Not only they lose, they lost scandalously at home to Burnley. But I think that I separate both teams. I think they would end the game 1-1 to be 1-1 draw, just like when they played earlier in the season. So, Bella, who are you rooting for? Critical listening.
This is a very. It's.
You want to do any mini manimo?
Should I do any mini manimo? I want to put some thoughts to it and not just do guesswork. Put some thoughts to it. It's not just. What are the sides again?
Brighton, Hove Albion at home to Crystal Palace. This one where this particular one, they are thinking like this.
I'll give Crystal Palace a chance. I'll give them a chance. 2-0.
2-0 Palace. Hopefully, Eberechi Eze will be the standard performance in that one, and Palace can get themselves back into winning ways. I've gone for a 1-1 draw, like I said earlier. AI, what say you?
AI has gone for 2-0 Brighton victory.
2-0. This one too. I like it when we don't agree like this. So the AI says 2-0. Bella went 0-2. I went 1-1. Let me take some of the comments we have. Thank you for joining us. Thompson Duraji says Chelsea will lose 1-2. Is that prediction coming from your heart, or is it because of Bella you are predicting 1-2?
I'm very
Our next Kanuri Adebayo. I know this person, no? Kanuri Adebayo. This is the same Kanuri Adebayo I know. He says Liverpool will win 3-0. Thompson Duraji comes back again and says City 2, Arsenal 2.
That's true, Jim.
This dream you are dreaming. This dream you are dreaming. It promises to be an exciting weekend. As always, when we try to round up now, we always look at where we may have all agreed at the result. And we've agreed for Chelsea and Southampton. Everybody has gone for a Chelsea win. Where we all agreed again. Where Manchester City, Arsenal, we've agreed on that one. Fulham, no, I went for a draw for Fulham. Okay, I think those are the two places. Southampton, both involve London clubs. So it will be interesting to see what happens eventually. Key predictions from Bella's results. Liverpool won, Everton won. That one's very interesting. And also Manchester United won, Newcastle United won. Another interesting prediction from Bella. So,
how about the wild card? We have a wild card.
So we always ask.
Yeah, can explain.
We always ask our guests.
Okay.
That just out of the ballpark, where do you think something unusual
will happen?
And if you predict
and
it well,
if you get it right, you will get the money. Even if you don't win the year. 10,000 naira.
Ah, that's plenty money in this Buhari's economy.
You buy data.
Exactly. So if you win, you still get the money. But this is just a wild card. Like, predict something that would, let me give
you an example.
Okay.
We had somebody tell us that I think it was Aston Villa who were playing that day. He told us Aston Villa was going to score a last-minute goal. They actually scored the last.
And they scored.
They actually scored the last-minute goal, but was ruled out by VAR.
Yeah.
Or you can predict 2 red cards.
Another person told us that there will be a late red card. I think it was a West Ham game that didn't happen. So stuff like that.
Just something unusual.
So,
the way
Liverpool is coming to mind, and I don't know if it's because Dr. Shea is wearing Liverpool jersey.
Okay, that's
so
tell me.
I'm still Liverpool in the realm. I just keep seeing Liverpool. Like so something dramatic may happen with that Liverpool game. I don't know what I would say. Maybe, just maybe, there may be a red card in Liverpool's match.
That
one is not usual. That game has the most red cards in all the so that is not an unusual thing.
It's still
that's the most red cards.
The match
they had the red card last time. They had the red card last time. No, that one is not usual.
So be specific. Red card to we'll accept it. Red card to Liverpool or Everton?
To Liverpool.
Red card to Liverpool.
All right.
Okay. So Bella, taking note of
red
that.
Card to Liverpool.
Wild card.
Yeah. So if that happens, that means that you won the week. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So if it happens like that, no problem. Kanuri Adeba says Firmino to score the first goal. All right. So
but anything else could happen. Anything else could happen. But I think Liverpool, that something dramatic looks like it will happen with that Liverpool.
You see, frankly, I don't mind. If Anderson gets a red card, it will give me
don't worry,
joy.
as long as Liverpool gets a red card, even if Everton gets 2 red cards, we'll still
All right. Let me say a big thank you to all those that joined us.
It's been so much fun.
And of course, thank you, Bella, for joining us on the show.
One of the
hopefully your wild card comes to comes good. This has been Football and AI, episode 18. Results will be out by Tuesday because there's a Monday night game. So by Tuesday morning, you will know your fate. Thank you for joining us. Have a lovely weekend.
By this time tomorrow, if there's a red card.
Yes.
Oh yeah, by this time tomorrow. Yeah, by this time tomorrow, if there's red card, we know that yes, we'll be crediting Bella with a fat sum of
I'll just send you my account number
of 10,000
in advance.
Straight away. All right, guys. Thank you very much for joining me on Football and AI.
Thank you, Dr.
See you next time.
All right.
Have a lovely weekend, guys.
Have a nice weekend, guys. Yeah, cheers.